Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to another review as we continue our look through the MCU with the very, very underrated Incredible Hulk, starring Edward Norton, Liv Tyler, Tim Roth, and William Hurt. Uh, right off the bat, The Incredible Hulk is probably my second favorite movie of Phase 1. I love this movie. I think this movie is great. Definitely the best Hulk movie made. Uh, Definitely the best Hulk movie made, in my opinion, as a standalone story. I like it. It's more truer to the Hulk books as opposed to that other Hulk movie with Ang Lee, which was bleh for good reason, but we're not there yet. But the Incredible Hulk, in my view, kind of gave the character a sense of fun. It wasn't like too self serious with itself. And it was very enjoyable. It was very enjoyable to watch. Edward Norton as Bruce Banner was awesome. And again, it's Edward Norton. He's one of my favorite actors. So everything he's in, I'm going to praise to high heaven. Uh, Liv Taylor, who I haven't really seen a whole lot of stuff with her in it, was you know very very good as Betty Brant. I like the chemistry between her and Norton. I think their chemistry together is very very good. Especially the one scene when they're in the hotel room and Bruce says he can't get too excited, and and the look of desperation, and the look of just let down on his face, and her reaction is like, "Ah, give the guy a break, will you?" And and of course, even when Bruce is in Hulk form, I like the Beauty and the Beast aspect a little bit between what's going on what's going on with Betty and Banner with that. So I think it was very very well handled, and Betty is one of the better love interests to be made because she actually does stuff and she does things, and she's actually a character, and I appreciate that and I like it. William Hurt as General Thunderbolt Ross is great. I like William Hurt; he's a good actor. And as Ross, he was great. He was everything you wanted him to be. He may have come across as that superficial, general army guy who his sole thing is to just fucking weaponize the military to the best that he can. And in a lot of parts, he does come across as that, but he's act. The character's acted well enough, and you have a credible actor that actually is giving him some personality and not and trying to make him stand out a little bit. And I like the shattered relationship he has with Betty to the point where Betty is just has alienated herself from her dad because of what happened to Banner. Uh, because of what happened to Banner and the whole radiation experiment that happened that the three of them were working on together that caused Banner to become the Hulk. Of course, to those who are familiar with Banner and Thunderbolt Ross, Ross wants to get the Hulk and weaponize the Hulk. But the thing is that it's uncontrollable, and you can't really weaponize what's uncontrollable. And of course, that's how that rivalry is, which I think is very well handled in. Even though Norton and her don't share a whole lot of scenes together, the scenes that they do share together, I think they play off really well. And I think if my main gripe with this movie is that I really wanted more scenes with Banner and Ross. You got very few and far between, and the scenes you do get with them, they don't share screen time. They're not on screen together, and it's mostly just Ross going after Banner in Hulk form. So I think that was a little bit of a letdown, but for what I got, I enjoyed it. Of course, we get the Tim Roth, who played Emil Blonsky, who have become the Abomination, and I like Tim Roth in this movie. He plays this aging military soldier, and he pretty much becomes Ross's weapon to take down the Hulk, to take down the Hulk. Of course, and of course they also this movie also ties into Captain America because they used the super soldier serum that gave Captain America his strength and his power, so to speak. And they used that same formula on Ross, not Ross, on Blonsky, which was a nice little callback to Captain America. If you watch this in chronological order, it's a nice callback to Captain America: First Avenger. which is great. And it further continues, that these movies are connected to each other in their own subtle ways, which is great. Because this is an ongoing thing. But so yeah, so eventually, he goes to this. Okay, so Bruce and Betty go to this doctor, Samuel Stearns, in New York, because Stearns played by Tim Blake Nelson, is a scientist that excuse me, that Betty and Bruce is familiar with the gamma radiation and helping them trying to find a cure. Of course, when Stearns sees the Hulk in person, he's just in awe and enamored with it, and you can clearly tell is very ambitious, and it's like, with this power, we can do things with this thing. Of course, Betty and Bruce, knowing the negative side of having this power, try to talk Ross out, try to talk Tim Blake Nelson, try to talk Stearns out of it, which is unresolved, because at the end of the movie, Ross pretty much gives Stearns gives Blonsky some of that gamma radiation that's in the Hulk, and so that gamma radiation mixed in with the super soldier serum that Blonsky had already is what mutated him into the Abomination, which is this Hulk-like creature. And of course, the Hulk and Abomination have a knockdown, drag-out fight in Harlem, and of course that fight gets referenced a lot throughout. That fight gets referenced a lot in in prior Avengers movies, which is great also. And the fight between them was well done. I like the special effects. This movie are really well handled. I like the job they did with the Hulk and Abomination. They both look good for what they are. A lot of the fight scenes look really, really good. The campus scene where Hulk takes on the army was done really well. Hulk's very first introduction scene, where he goes after these thugs in like a factory, was really well done. Louis Leterrier, who directed this film, did a really, really, really solid job directing it, and he really directed it as if he was making a classic Universal horror movie. Monster movie, because the initial outing for the Hulk, he's basically done in shadow, and it looks great. And that whole scene was done really, really well. So I have an appreciation for those people who do call back to the old Universal monster movies. And Louis Leterrier, I think, did a great job. His landscape shots of Brazil look spectacular. They just look phenomenal. And his use of practical effects mixed with the visual effects was also well integrated into this film. It was a really good, fair balance, because in the end, your two main characters, Hulk and Abomination, are practically CG characters. So you have to have some realism there in order to create that illusion that they're actually there. And I think Louis Leterrier did a really phenomenal job with that. Edward Norton and Tim Roth also did a fine job of bringing those characters to life. I love both of them in this film, and I'm actually very upset that Norton was not able to come back for the future films. I think, to me, that's a big blow. Nothing against Mark Ruffalo, but I'm more of a Norton fan than Ruffalo fan. I would have loved to have seen Norton come back for the Avengers movie. Hopefully, one day in the future, like Red Skull, Abomination does come back to take on the Avengers. One can only hope that could happen. Who knows if it will or not? But I'm holding out hope that he does make a return. It ain't going to be in the next Thor movie coming out, but maybe, hopefully, in a future Avengers movie, something could happen. I don't know. Of course, for those who've seen Civil War, Ross has come back, and hopefully that can lead to more things between him and Banner. Again, one will have to see what will happen as the future of the Avengers series goes on, but we're jumping the shark a little bit, because we're talking about the Incredible Hulk over here. So yeah, so pretty much the basics of this movie is that I love the acting is great, action was well integrated, the CGI looks great. I love the mix of practical effects. Louis Leterrier's directing is very solid. He does a really fine job at making these things, with his landscape shots, and the other shots that he does too in this film are really well done. now, of course, this movie ends with General Ross post battle with the Abomination and Hulk in a bar, drinking his life away, like you do when you're upset. And of course, he meets Tony Stark, and Tony Stark pretty much says, "Putting together a team. What do you think?" And of course, the seeds are further planted for that Avengers movie, and for later on down the line with Civil War, because Ross does play a big role in that movie too. So yeah, in my view, Incredible Hulk is probably one of the most important movies of the MCU Phase 1 because it sets a lot of things up for the future of the series, and it's really baffling to me that it gets constantly overlooked. It's an extremely underrated movie. It's damn good. It's my second favorite of Phase 1. As an overall grade, I'm going to give it solid 9. Yeah, fuck it. 9 out of 10. This is a 9 out of 10. Solid 9 out of 10. I like the Incredible Hulk a lot. Yes, it has something. Yes, of course, it loses that point because a lot of things that I would like to have seen were just briefly there, and I would like to see. I would love to see them get expanded upon. Hopefully, in the future, they can get expanded upon. But for what I got, easy 9 out of 10. I love this movie. I love the effects, the actors, everything. Well, that is my view on the Incredible Hulk. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you again next time for another review.